Welcome back. You're listening to Ask the CIO, sponsored by Tenable on Federal News Network. I'm your host, Jason Miller. My guest today is Rob Baker, the Command Information Officer for the Naval Facilities Engineering Systems Command. Now, Rob, before break, we're talking a lot about the threats you all are seeing and how you're dealing with it and the move to software-defined networking. The other piece I want to make sure we hit upon as we continue to talk about operational technology and cybersecurity is data. And we know how important data is to everything every agency does. Maybe walk me through a little bit about how the NAVFAC is using data to make decisions to ensure your cyber posture is as strong as it can be.
So one of my other roles, the chief data officer actually works for me here at NAVFAC also. And we created that position maybe 2.5 years ago. But we have done a lot of creating an enterprise data warehouse and putting together the ability to use business intelligence and analytics to perform multiple things, and including what we want to look at is, trend analysis within our data related to the risk management framework. What controls, what security controls are there that maybe are repeatedly having the same types of issues, and then look at how can we go and maybe make that a high payoff target because, here's a trend, let's go attack it. So we're using data in that method. Another way is, when control systems are going through the 6-step RMF process, probably the most tedious step is step 3, which is where all of the controls are applied to the system that were previously agreed upon between us as the cybersecurity lead and then the owners in the public works department of the control systems. So when we start to see time pass and like a threshold go by, then we can use data in a more automated way. Out of the EMAS program, we like to use EMAS. That's the DoD standard for RMF. And what is it that is occurring in these particular steps of the process? Maybe there's a training deficiency that we can target in on. Maybe there's just a skill set that doesn't exist and we need to find it, because one thing that the data has proven in another area is in our time to hire people into the workforce. This workforce is highly skilled and highly transient in some cases. Although most people come to the government because they want to work for the government. In some cases, they can get lured away by industry because they're really good. And so we've also used data to do workforce analytics and try to understand what, if I have 3 openings, how many recruiting actions am I going to have to perform just to fill those 3? So we've used it from things as more simple to workforce as all the way over to, so what are the technical trends that are happening within our environment that we need to pay attention to and shore up? And then the most, I would say, revolutionary thing that we're beginning to do with data is in this mosaics construct that we talked about in the previous segment, is allowing data to drive artificial intelligence and machine learning to actually take an action on behalf of the human being if the speed is necessary to mitigate some type of activity that may be occurring within the enclave.
From a data perspective, do you feel like you have the right data? Are you collecting the right data? Is there a sense that there's so much data? How do you find the needle in the needle of the haystacks, or whatever we use these days?
Yeah, there is a lot of data. And what we have to do is using some analytic professionals and we have employed some data scientists to come in and take a look at the data itself and try to help us understand which data are more important, which data lack quality, which is very important, making sure that, maybe the data is not even being input correctly. So those types of things. But yeah, there's a lot of data, and a lot of it's not that high quality in some cases. And so, we've also worked on improving the quality of the data to get better quality-based decisions, made with facts and with good insight through business analytics.
Rob, there's a lot more we could talk to around cybersecurity and data, but we're going to shift gears a little bit because I know as the command information officer, there's more on your plate than just cybersecurity. So give us a sense, what else are you working on? What are your other priorities?
So, and this is the biggest thing that I think NAVFAC is working on also is there are some very large construction projects that our Congress has authorized and appropriated funds for in places like China Lake, California, where 15 months ago an earthquake destroyed quite a bit of infrastructure there. A little more than 2 years ago, there was this hurricane named Florence that came up the east coast of the United States and did quite a bit of damage in eastern North Carolina to Camp Lejeune and Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point. And so just between those two locations, we are focused deeply and heavily on getting that infrastructure back up and operating. There's a lot of IT, traditional IT involved in that. There's a lot of computer based design and architecture and engineering work that's going on to bring those Navy and Marine Corps installations back onto the shelf, the top step that they need to be on. And so that is probably my top priority right now, is ensuring that we have the right amount of IT and the right IT available to those design engineers and to the construction folks that are out there trying to restore Camp Lejeune, Cherry Point, and China Lake. And then the one other really big thing is out in the territory of Guam, where we have the large military construction projects that are part of the partnership that we have with some of our allies in that region to bring U.S. forces from other parts of Asia into Guam and focus a little bit more on our great power competitor out there.
All right, a lot going on. I'm sure there's much more we could talk about, but unfortunately, Rob, we're out of time for today. And this has been a fascinating conversation. I certainly learned a lot. So let me thank my guest, Rob Baker, the Command Information Officer for the Naval Facilities Engineering Systems Command. Rob, thanks so much for taking the time today.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciated the opportunity.
I'm Jason Miller, and you've been listening to Ask the CIO, sponsored by Tenable on Federal News Network. For more on this discussion, visit federalnewsnetwork.com and search Ask the CIO.